stage 2 this weekend at the Players' Championship Finals features a former finalist of this event, Mervyn King, against one of 13 debutants in the tournament, Karel Sedlacek, the man from the Czech Republic, nicknamed Evil Charlie, and he's one of 4 debutants that are still in the tournament. One of them, Damon Heta, has just booked his place in the quarterfinals, and Heta will take on the winner of this match. An intriguing encounter.
First leg, it's Mervyn to throw first.
Sedlacek rode his luck this afternoon, 160 checkouts to see off Madus Razmar. Mervyn King certainly hasn't rode his luck.
Very fair to say.
100.
Similar position to that of Ross Smith before the last 16 matches began. Wins of 6-3 and 6-1.
59.
But you're right about Sedlacek. He's been a lucky boy. Not evil Charlie, but lucky Charlie. Now, I'm a big advocate for not saying there's much luck in the game of darts, but he's somewhat fortuitously dodged a lot of missed doubles from Krzysztof Ratajski first, and let's face it, Razmar didn't bring his A game. So until that point where Sedlacek took out the 160 for the match, it was in the balance.
Mervyn King certainly has been bringing his A game this weekend, particularly on the main stage in his opening match against Dave Chisnell yesterday. A 6-3 win, an average of 105. That was the best performance, well, at least for a winning player, in the first round.
Well, Merv's playing like he needs a new motorbike, and that's all the motivation he needs sometimes.
Yeah, well, it was top gear in that match. He didn't need to get out second, really, against Danny Knopp at a very authoritative display from the King. A 6-1 success this afternoon.
You notice that Merv's got the somewhat aggressive goatee beard back as well for the winter. He is due a fine performance in the winter, because the winters have not been fruitful in the last few seasons. He's had some dire times at the Worlds, and you get the feeling that maybe this presents a good chance for him.
43.
This tournament, he's taken a 1-0 lead, and if he can get through this game, it would be an incredible game against Damon Heta in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, hasn't been past the 3rd round at the World Championship since 2009, Mervyn King.
Astonishing.
100.
That year he reached the semi-finals, as close as he's got to picking up that crown at the Ali Pali. He reached at least the quarter-finals in each of his first 5 outings in this particular tournament.
140.
You put me on the spot here.
You're beaten by James Wade. I'm sure I don't need to remind you of that.
No, you don't. Please don't.
And Barneveld, the winner against Klaassen. King beating Barry Bates. And Phil Taylor.
134.
You've got until Mervyn King takes out this 1-2-1 checkout to tell me the answer.
So you're confident he's going to take the 1-2-1? He's just given me an extra few seconds.
81.
Well, he has left tops.
44.
Sedlacek. Be a settler for him, this. Double 16.
28.
Can't find it.
Well, Merv has been leaving tops a little bit more, but it wasn't his favourite double earlier on today. But right there, it doubles his lead and put me out my misery. It's driving me up the wall.
Go Stompy.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Beaten 5-0 by the Power back in 2009. We can, of course, start to get excited about the World Championship, but there is business to take care of here first. Mervyn King did reach the quarterfinals of this event last year. That was the 6th time in 12 outings and ever present in this tournament that he's reached the last 8.
That is some ratio, isn't it? Making the quarters 50% of the time. It's amazing.
He had a 5-year run where he didn't get past round 2, so that tells you what he was like between 2009 and 2012. Of course, one of those years holds very special memories for you.
Yeah, it's nice to reminisce with the old banner downstairs and have a look at that wall of champions.
Yeah, it must be frustrating for the likes of Mervyn King, and he's probably the one you look at right now who's still on the tour, who hasn't got that major title. We don't have the likes of Terry Jenkins around anymore in the PDC, because we've got this
99.
new thing of banners being up in the absence of fans. Of course, there's a big wall of world champions at the Ali Pali as well. Mervyn King won't see his face on any of them.
Not yet, anyway.
140.
Finalist in the Premier League back in 2009. Finalist here in 2010. We've said enough about that this weekend. Grand Prix finalist in 2012. Got away from him against Michael van Gerwen. A Masters finalist in 2014. It got away from him against James Wade.
Yeah, I think that one hurts.
This would hurt.
Oh, that wasn't far away.
Mervyn, your car 167.
But Merv is taking his time up there tonight. He's not going to be pressed by the faster player in Sedlacek. 57 looking very deliberate. And he's trying to trust every dart. He's not staying in a rhythm. He's throwing everything deliberately.
Yeah, well noticed. Certainly is. Very methodical, this from Mervyn. But to what end?
21. Mervyn, you require 68.
And if I were Merv, I'd be going treble 12 here.
Well, would you be thinking here, Sedlacek hasn't really settled, and I can get rid of him very quickly if I carry on?
Potentially.
66.
Well, what's he having a look at there, Mervyn King? Something's upset him.
Well, he's not got the earplugs in, so he's going to be able to hear someone chatting. I think somebody's talking at the end of the room.
I did wonder if he was looking at Karel, but Karel had passed him and he still had his eyes pierced on the culprits. You want to be looking back at that stare, would you?
No. You don't.
No score.
He is furious right now, and he's got to forget about what's troubling him.
Yeah, not happy, Mervyn King. And they'll be even less happy having seen Karel Sedlacek halve the deficit here. He's well within his rights to have a word with the match referee. Mervyn's chosen not to do that, and I'm not sure that Paul Hinks will be aware of what Mervyn King's been doing at the back of the hockey.
Well, it's not just the players, but the officials and referee do get in their own zone when doing the match, but the referee has to be aware if a player is not happy with something, and if the referee is not giving you a nod, have a word. That's what they're there for. They are the sheriffs. We mentioned this in the last game.
77.
Mervyn still scowling, still leading.
Yes, he should be 3-0 up. That is a fact.
57.
But he can't afford to let what's happened in that last leg derail him.
Peter Wright is on stage, on the main stage downstairs here at the Ricoh Arena in Coventry. He's up against Callan Ridds, who I just hope puts on a bit of a show, because he has been going under the radar. He's been on our radar, Paul, because we commentated on his matches at the Winter Series and his couple of wins here.
140.
Hope he can take it to the main stage and produce the goods against Peter Wright and give him the kind of game that Ryan Meikle gave him in round one.
Yeah, that's a very, very big game for Callan. Huge shot window for that young man. Huge shot here for King. Tell you what, he's staring a hole in that dartboard, and if looks could kill, that dartboard would be on fire.
Mervyn, you require 72.
Should look at the 48 here. Another single.
Well, he can't find double top. Could find himself level. Double 16. Well, that's a bit of a mess.
Disaster dart there for Evil Charlie.
It really is. And the 2004 World Master is looking for a 3-1 lead.
Being shown on the fourth leg, Mervyn King.
And if it's not going to be a classic, Mervyn understands that all he's got to do is get through this game, and tomorrow is a very different day.
Yeah, Sunday, the important day, the check day, the trophy day.
100.
I'm going to stick you on the spot now, considering you did it to me. The year that I won this tournament, I beat Phil Taylor in the semis. Who did Mervyn beat in the semi-finals?
Oh, now you're asking.
45.
You wouldn't believe my preparation for this event spent more time looking at your run that year than anything else that went on. Going back a long time. Well, I'm not going to cheat and look, and I'm not even going to guess, because I'll be honest, I can't remember.
You're going to have to give me a name. I'll give you at the end of the leg. Let's focus on the match for now, but we do like a brain teaser at PDC TV. Mervyn's miss in this match so far has been low, particularly
97.
since that little disturbance. So he's just got to recalibrate a little bit. But you have to say that maybe the B game of King, the way he's playing right now, could be good enough to get over Karel Sedlacek. There will be someone watching very avidly over in the Czech Republic. My friend Pavel Korda, who happily passes the odd bit of information and stats in relation to Karel and to other Czech players. Hello to you, Pavel. I hope you're enjoying the coverage. Hope to see you next year and possibly beyond, after the Czech Darts Open was cancelled this year, unfortunately. Bullseye for King. Oh, that has got some gall, hasn't it?
Don't think it was in the ball. I think it bounced off the green there. For Mervyn King. Rolled back onto the fairway.
56. Mervyn, you require 50.
This time he will just roll it over the hole before tapping it in.
Lays up and plants the 50 for 4 legs to 1. Everything seems to be calming down a little bit now.
I have worked out, Paul, that it's definitely not somebody that's in this tournament, so I'm going to go for a name from yesteryear. And I think if it had been one of the big names, I would have remembered it.
59.
So for that reason, and for the fact that I've just been informed by our spotter, Little Richard, that it was Colin Osborne.
Correct. Don't forget about how good Colin Osborne was in that period where he made the final of the UK Open and was winning titles left, right and centre. And we hope that Colin is tuning in. If you are Aussie, we hope you're well.
99.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't take credit for that. I'm sure many others would. They've just taken what Little Richard fed into their ear and spouted it out as their own.
95.
King can't leave a finish from 3-4-3, but he can knock on the door of Sedlacek if he can get himself another treble. And he does a very good job of that. What's your thoughts on that dart shirt of Evil Charlie then? Like or loathe?
Neither, to be honest, but I think it's a very niche reference. It's apparently a reference to a Peter Kay show called Max and Paddy's Road to Nowhere.
Oh, so that's what it is.
Yeah, it doesn't really fill you with confidence, does it, that title?
96. Karel requires 68.
Good point.
Is he on a road to somewhere here?
52.
Missing a lot of chances, isn't he?
Yeah, finds a dead end again. Mervyn King could inflict another blow. Just looking very, very comfortable, Mervyn King. Never mind the noise that he got upset by earlier.
Dart wasn't comfortable in his hand. There was a little twist of it just before he threw. And Sedlacek is at fours again. He goes inside again and misses double 2 again. It's just not been his night on the doubles, and King is getting a crate full of chances.
There was 4s and 2s and 1s, but really he's been at 6s and 7s, Karel Sedlacek, in this match. Mervyn King is absolutely cruising without even having to, I was going to say get out first gear, without even having to start the engine, really.
The way this game has panned out so far, and we should talk about this because it was very apt for Joe Cullen earlier as King maxes. He knows there's a break. There's going to be a break in this match. Where does he want to be?
140.
And if it was me in this situation, the way that Karel has played and the way that I've played, if I was Mervyn, I'd want 8-2. I'd be happy with 8-2. I'd accept 7-3, but I wouldn't be happy with it.
Yeah, interesting psychology of both of these players. Mervyn King will be looking at this as a real opportunity to reach yet another quarter-final in this tournament. We will meet another debutant in Damon Heta. Karel Sedlacek, you would think, would be looking at this as something as a bonus, a free roll. Of course, whenever you're in a game of darts, you want to win it. But he seems to be playing like the man under the most pressure, which is strange.
Yeah, I think that's true. You think about Sedlacek's career so far, I don't think he's been involved in a match where the end product is 15 grand. Mervyn has done that many, many times. And the encouraging thing for Sedlacek is he's on 160, which he knows all about today.
There's a match-winning shot this afternoon, as he saw from Madas Razmar, but
44,
the radar
56.
has not been on.
Tops for 6-1. Very tidy, accomplished and very efficient from the King, who seems to have let the anger go away from earlier and just got back on the job.
16.
Whatever happens, Sedlacek will have a very important game or two to prepare for after this, because he will have to participate in the PDPA qualifier on Monday.
And there's only 2 qualifiers from his side of the draw because he's part of the rest of the world qualifier.
But it's still an improved chance for him, isn't it, when they thought there would only be 2 qualifiers from all of them. So we will find out at the end of the day on Monday whether we will see a Christmas Carol at Alexandra Palace.
I like the ring of Christmas Karel Sedlacek.
Mervyn King in the role of Scrooge in this one.
Mervyn averaging 94 and making it look very simple. I talked a little bit yesterday about the old county days where if you averaged around 94 for the season over 9 games of best of 5, you'd be lauded worldwide. Well, we're talking about people averaging 95 plus, scope of 50 to 80 matches in a season now. It's a very different ball game, and it's the same ball game as the last leg because he got 56 last time.
Knows how to do it. Doesn't show how to do it. Sedlacek, well, I'm going to say it hasn't looked likely in this range, has he, in this match?
No, he has not, but he has another chance. And this time he gets it right. That's right in the middle as well. That'll make him feel a lot better, and it'll make King feel a little bit sour, but if he is going to relinquish a chance like that, you might as well do it when Sedlacek through first.
Beats his previous highest checkout by 76 points.
Good point. Peter Wright is currently 4-2 up on Callum Ridds. Curiously, Peter Wright was playing against Simon Whitlock this afternoon with the World Championship winning darts. The longer stem, the moulded flight, that 2-colour barrel. Is he going back to Alexandra Palace with the same setup? Is that the play?
It's interesting, isn't it, watching the top dogs, the key protagonists, the main men prepare for the World Championship. And you talked about it, towards the end of his career, Phil Taylor started to do that. Not just focus on every major tournament, but he would pick out the match play, the World Championship. Even pulled out of other big tournaments like the World Grand Prix to try and make himself ready. Reached the final in his very last year using such a ploy.
Yeah, not a bad effort here.
100.
It was a fitting send-off in the end, but
what a way to be able to think, well, a lot of these other major tournaments are just practice, or I might not even bother going because I've got my eyes on the biggest prize.
Just so happened he finished on 16 match plays and 16 world titles. Maybe he just wanted that number. King looking for 50.
96.
When he comes up with 96. Sedlacek needs to find this.
You said he wanted 8-2, Mervyn King, that he wouldn't be happy with 7-3.
96. Mervyn, your car, 25.
Could move a step closer.
Very precise in approach to the hockey. And he does have 7-2, and he's one away from that mark that I mentioned. Things not looking good for Evil Charlie here. Did start the match as a heavy underdog. But does he have a very unlikely comeback in him? He's going to have to do something of the likes we rarely see. When it comes to comebacks, we always talk about the same ones, don't we?
Yeah, and some of them involve Mervyn King, unfortunately for him. And we mentioned it earlier on, the one against James Wade at the Masters. That must be the one that hurt the most.
Added to the fact that James beat him in the Premier League final as well, there's nothing worse than constantly being denied by the same person. You immediately strike them off your Christmas card list, and even though you like that person, you think, well, why is it always got to be you? And with me it was Wes Newton. It's like he was always there.
Wes Newton?
16.
I wouldn't believe how much he cost me in my career, how much cash.
I was in the crowd for that match at the match play. I know that's one that hurts.
Physically.
86. Karel, you require 164.
Another. Would have been interesting if he'd got the 57, 79. If he'd have gone for it. Will be a break after this leg. A very brief one at that. Can Mervyn get in position to strike and get an 8-2 lead?
52.
Well, he sees the funny side of that. But he's not laughing anymore because he's left 166.
29.
But if he is going to have a chance, he needed that small visit from Karel.
Really needs a treble.
60. Karel, you require 56.
2 darts. At tops, needs only one. Gets an extra leg before the break. Karel Sedlacek, well, he hasn't really been in this match, but he's not yet out of it. 7-3 to Mervyn King as they go in for the break. Sedlacek only has 3. Mervyn King only needs 3. Join us in a few minutes' time to see if the King can get over the line. Needs 3, but you also talked about we've seen bigger comebacks than that, and we mentioned that match at the Masters earlier on. It was a similar scenario. Mervyn King needed 2, James Wade had 2, but he managed to win. However, he ain't playing James Wade right now, and it's a very different position of a major final when you've never won compared to getting into the quarter-finals of an event you've been in the quarter-finals of 6 times.
Well, Mervyn just hesitated before he threw those 3 darts there.
Well, you said, Paul, and I'll probably have you right off air, that Mervyn King probably went to have a word with officials or whoever he thought was making some noise in the early part of that match. Now, it hasn't really bothered him it hasn't really affected his performance. He's shaking his head again about something here. It is classic Mervyn King to be 7-3 up, absolutely cruising and looking furious at the smallest distractions.
I'm not sure what it is now, but I tell you what, like watching Bergerac, I am fascinated to find out.
What's the matter? What's the matter, Mervyn? Big huff and puff from Mervyn King. Well, we're enjoying this, even if he's not.
I've known Mervyn for 11 years, and every day being his friend is never dull. Not what Merv wanted to hear at the start of this. Just wonder if he does get through this game, 99. If he wears his earplugs tomorrow.
Interesting, there is a constant wall of noise. Now, I'm not sure the difference in the potential for hearing other things. You might be seeing different things here in comparison to the main stage.
Has Karel Sedlacek been having some of his energy drink in the break?
Maybe Mervyn King knew what was coming. Maybe that's what upset him.
Oh, so the Mervyn King crystal ball.
He knew he was about to be on the wrong end of a 9-dart finish. Let's see if he was right.
It's a great leg from Karel Sedlacek, it has to be said.
90.
Nice approach. On for the 11-darter.
He's had a look around again there, Mervyn King. I'm not quite sure what his problem is here, but we have seen in the past, and I'm thinking about a game at the World Championship where he's been absolutely cruising, something has distracted him and he's completely collapsed.
2/16.
Can you remember the one against Zoran Lerchbacher when the lights went out?
Yeah. 2 sets in a look, wasn't he? Lost the match. Don't talk to me about lights going out on the Ali Pali stage.
82. Can we require 8?
Double 4 to get his 4th leg. And that's what he does.
Many might have been expecting a response to your last statement, Paul, but you told me not to talk to you about it. But there's a response here from Sedlacek. And interesting, because he's a debutant in the tournament. He's a fairly new player on the darting block. But he might have watched enough darts to know that Mervyn King could be vulnerable here, having allowed himself to be distracted.
That's better.
Yeah, he looks vulnerable, doesn't he?
Sometimes players of Mervyn's stature need to be tested. They need to be poked with a big stick. Instead of being miles in front, they need to be in a battle.
Well, look at this now. Mervyn King moving from distraction to destruction.
He's got to stop the rot a little bit because Sedlacek has been inching closer. It's really important for Mervyn to impose himself in this second session to find a bit of comfort like he did in the middle part of the first one, where he was picking off legs with ease. 10 legs into the main stage match, it's Peter Wright 6-4 up, so that's not a full-run conclusion yet.
84.
Well, 84 will have to go for the bull if he doesn't find a treble. Never mind that. 2 darts at double 12. Becomes 1 at double 6. Mervyn King leads 8-4. That is a break of throw. But very much tightening his grip on this match. He's just calmed down a little, hasn't he, since that first leg and the practice starts. He was looking back at Karel Sedlacek and not looking very happy. He'll be feeling happy now.
You do have to evolve mid-game. There are going to be things that distract you, but it's how you react to certain situations.
That's a good reaction.
Is that defines you, and that's a brilliant response from Sedlacek.
His 6th Sorry, fifth 180.
Here's one for you. I played Colin Osborne at the 2009 European Championship in Hoofddorp in the Netherlands. And Colin played better than I did. But the one thing that was making me feel a bit huffy all night was the fact that the carpet on stage was too plush. My feet kept moving when I was playing, and the type of carpet that they use these days, as a result, is something without any plush. It's very, very flat.
Amazing, the little things that can get into dart players' minds and the soles of their feet.
6 darts from here. We'll go to the 48 and get that for double 8. So much better from King. He's sprinting now. The last 2 legs have been absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, just managed to refocus himself here, Mervyn King, and avoid getting embroiled in a battle, which it looked like when he came back out from the break and lost that first leg, he might get drawn into something.
Well, if he has had a problem with anything that Karel's done, I'm sure we'll find out if he wins this leg, because he's never shy to tell someone how he feels about a certain situation.
Yeah, difficult for us to see from our vantage point, seeing the same pictures as you are, but he did seem to look a couple of times in the practice starts and earlier in the match in the direction of his opponent, who maybe he thinks is a bit more heavy-footed than he needs to be, something like that.
Well, if you know Evil Charlie and he gives you a handshake, it stays shook. He is made of solid stuff.
It has been pretty solid from Mervyn King all weekend, and he's closing it out in a very professional manner. He's moved his average up to the 97 mark.
78.
There's more in the tank, isn't there?
Oh, there really is, and that bodes very, very well for tomorrow. Mervyn King, as we mentioned, will play Damon Heta in the quarterfinals.
171.
Sedlacek still has more in his tank as well. Let's not completely write him off yet.
No, but he's got to beat Mervyn King 6-0 from here. In order to beat someone 6-0, you've got to win 1-0 first.
Yeah, and you'd have to survive match darts to do that. There's no doubt about that. He has got one back.
Well, you mentioned earlier that they have played each other before, and it was a little bit of a chasm between the two players.
Yeah, he did beat him 6-1, Karel Sedláček, at the first Players' Championship event of the year. Mervyn King in that match averaged, and this is an absolute anomaly for Mervyn King, 71.5.
Yeah, that's very odd. I don't remember Merv ever averaging that low.
Sedlacek would need to do, or need to see Mervyn do that from here on in, I think, to turn around his fortunes in this one.
I have to agree.
16.
For the first time in the match, it seems like he didn't find the range on that step to the right shot. But he still has a healthy gap after 6 darts. Not anymore.
140.
Peter Wright on the main stage, 6-5 up against Callan Ridge. Michael van Gerwen against Jeff Bridges-Van follows that. Dirk van Duivenbode against Luke Woodhouse follows this in the final match on stage 2 in 2020. It all goes to the main stage tomorrow.
King still in charge, still has the darts, and he desperately wants to get this game done 10-5.
So leaves himself a finish. I think you made the point in an earlier match, Paul, that you wouldn't want to play poker against Karel Sedláček. And with whatever's been going on in this match, the noise earlier on that was a bit of a distraction, whatever Mervyn King's getting bothered by his opponent, you wouldn't know that anything had happened if you'd just been looking at Karel throughout the game.
Absolutely right. He's made of stone when he plays.
43.
That is not a great visit from King. Sedláček is not out of this yet, but he needs to get himself on something like 66 from here. Could it be a lot less? Something very similar to 66.
Well, the poker face check leaves it handy. Well, Mervyn King, a little laugh because he's left it quite handy for him as well. Will he get a chance for his favourite double?
A great leave that was. Will it matter?
Just nice to see him smiling. And he'll be smiling even more now.
Mervyn, you require 32.
There is such a thing as serendipity, maybe. He could have gone 6 double 16, but he's gone miss double 3, 4 double 16.
And Ace King has the winning hand in this match. It was a comfortable performance throughout, really, for Mervyn King, although you wouldn't have known it by looking at him throughout much of that match. A few distractions, but it was destruction from the King, who is producing the goods here. A little post-mortem with Karel Sedlacek. He heads out. He has the World Championship qualifier to focus on. Mervyn King still has work to do here, and he could be crowned the King come tomorrow night. The King moved through 10-5. Stay with us here on stage 2. We have one more match to bring you at this year's Players' Championship finals. It is Dirk van Dijvenbode, the World Grand Prix finalist, against the woody Luke Woodhouse, coming up in a couple of minutes' time.